We give thanks for the life of a woman I'm so proud to be able to call my sister. The unique, the complex, the extraordinary and irreplaceable Diana, whose beauty, both internal and external, will never be extinguished from our minds.
Fairy tales usually end at this point with the simple phrase, "They lived happily ever after."
The Princess of Wales was a new kind of royal. A new word began to appear in the media's vocabulary, die-mania.
The Princess of Wales has agreed to Prince Charles's request for a divorce.
In some small way, I have been of service in return.
Princess of Wales has died in a car accident.
At Buckingham Palace, telegrams of condolence have been arriving from leaders around the world.
Princess Diana's tragic death in 1997 sent shockwaves around the world, uniting millions of people in grief. What unfolded next rocked the royal family, sparking a crisis that challenged their public image. The then Prince Charles, along with Diana's sisters, flew to Paris on the afternoon of 31st of August 1997 to collect Princess Diana's body following her tragic car accident earlier that day. They returned with her body to RAF Northolt in London that evening, where she was received with a sombre and respectful ceremony.
It must have been very difficult for the Prince of Wales to come to Paris because he was estranged from his wife, divorced from his wife, didn't particularly like her. He was there, of course, for the boys, as their father. But he was out of sorts, didn't know how to behave. This was new territory. His ex-wife was dead.
I feel like everyone else in this country today, utterly devastated. Our thoughts and prayers are with Princess Diana's family, in particular her two sons, the two boys. Our hearts go out to them. We are today a nation in Britain in a state of shock, in mourning, in grief that is so deeply painful for us. She was a wonderful and a warm human being. Though her own life was often, sadly, touched by tragedy, she touched the lives of so many others in Britain, throughout the world, with joy and with comfort. How many times shall we remember her, in how many different ways? With the sick, the dying, with children, with the needy. When with just a look or a gesture that spoke so much more than words, she would reveal to all of us the depth of her compassion and her humanity. You know how difficult things were for her from time to time. I'm sure we can only guess at, but the people everywhere, not just here in Britain, everywhere, they kept faith with Princess Diana. They liked her, they loved her. They regarded her as one of the people. She was the people's princess. And that's how she will stay, how she will remain in our hearts and in our memories forever.
And we brought her home, and I came home, And I had a little walk in the gardens of Kensington Palace and saw people beginning to bring their floral tributes. Maybe just 20 or 30 of them. Maybe 100. Nothing like what would happen that week.
The public's adoration for the late princess had never been more visible.
She will always be in our thoughts and forever in our hearts. And that's how I see her.
Just sorrow. Just sorrow and wish we'd told before we loved her.
Just can't believe she's gone.
Especially now, as Christmas brings its own painful stresses to so many people in need. The sick, the old, the handicapped and the homeless, the lonely, the confused, and the simply unloved, who are needing your help more than ever.
Princess Diana's funeral took place on 6th of September 1997 at Westminster Abbey in London. The event was attended by world leaders, celebrities and millions of mourners. 2.5 billion viewers worldwide watched the event via television broadcast. Her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, walked behind the coffin, accompanied by their father, Prince Charles, grandfather, Prince Philip, and Diana's brother, Earl Spencer. The experience left a lasting impact on both brothers, with Harry in particular reflecting on how challenging it was to grieve publicly under such intense scrutiny. Elton John performed a special rendition of Candle in the Wind in her memory. The emotional service reflected Diana's profound impact on the public, her humanitarian work, and her role as the people's princess. However, Earl Charles Spencer steered the tone of Diana's funeral in a different direction. His bold eulogy criticised the media and vowed to protect her legacy, marking a striking contrast to the traditional formality of royal ceremonies.
It is a tribute to her level-headedness and strength that despite the most bizarre life imaginable after her childhood, she remained intact, true to herself. There is no doubt that she was looking for a new direction in her life at this time. She talked endlessly of getting away from England, mainly because of the treatment that she received at the hands of the newspapers. I don't think she ever understood why her genuinely good intentions were sneered at by the media, why there appeared to be a permanent quest on their behalf to bring her down. It is baffling. My own and only explanation is that genuine goodness is threatening to those at the opposite end of the moral spectrum. It is a point to remember that of all the ironies about Diana, perhaps the greatest was this: a girl given the name of the ancient goddess of hunting was, in the end, the most hunted person of the modern age.
I mean, this was a major event. 80 VIPs and protected people attended this funeral. It was an extraordinary event. For me, the The eulogy given by her brother, Charles Spencer, was incredibly powerful.
I would like to end by thanking God for the small mercies he's shown us at this dreadful time, for taking Diana at her most beautiful and radiant, and when she had joy in her private life. Above all, we give thanks for the life of a woman I'm so proud to be able to call my sister.
I didn't hold back at all about the role of the monarchy and the criticism he had of the royal family and the media. And this was being relayed outside. So, you know, what I remember was this, it was like sort of dry leaves falling on a sort of corrugated tin roof. But it was actually the clapping outside of people that were applauding Spencer for what he was saying. It must have been very difficult for the Queen and other members of the royal family to listen to this. But I'm afraid, well, I'm not afraid, Spencer was true. He was right in what he said. You know, I think Diana did get a bad deal from the royal family, if I'm honest. It was sad, really. Sad that even when she died, when the Queen was in Balmoral, it took some persuasion to get the Queen to return to London. But then, to be fair, you know, what the Queen said, and the first time ever where she acknowledged the work of Diana, was on her death, which was rather sad, really.
First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself. She was an exceptional and gifted human being. In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. I admired and respected her for her energy and commitment to others, and especially for her devotion to her two boys. This week at Balmoral, we have all been trying to help William and Harry come to terms with the devastating loss that they and the rest of us have suffered. No one who knew Diana will ever forget her. Millions of others who never met her, but felt they knew her, will remember her.
Diana, our companion in faith and sister in Christ, we entrust you to God.
The funeral was, you know, a very moving occasion for, I think, for me. I mean, the service, her brother, the music that she, you know, liked. You know, I think it left a memory for many hundreds of thousands of people. But the lasting memory will be certainly the occasion. You know, the walking behind her coffin by her two sons. But I think, you know, the stark reality and truth of her brother, of what he said, will always be, for me, a lasting memory.
After Princess Diana's death, the popularity of the monarchy significantly declined, as the royal family faced criticism for their perceived lack of public emotion and response to the tragedy. Polls taken shortly after her death showed that public support for the monarchy dropped to around 50 to 60%, a significant decline compared to previous years. The event marked a turning point in the royal family's relationship with the public.
It shocked them to the core. They didn't understand what was happening. They didn't understand that the world could love a woman whom they'd never met. They didn't understand why people were crying in the street. They thought the world had gone mad, that everybody had gone hysterical. The Queen's first thought was to keep her grandchildren safe, and so she kept them at Balmoral and looked after them behind those walls. That's what she thought was the best thing for them. There was no flag flying at Buckingham Palace. It seemed the royal family didn't care. They wanted rid of Diana. They stripped her of her royal titles, and she was an outcast. Now what to do about it? This had never happened before. It was unprecedented. There was no rule book to look to say, what shall we do next? Everybody was feeling their way very carefully. It was a very sensitive time.
Princess Diana's death only renewed public love for her. The outpouring of grief highlighted Diana as a figure deeply connected to the people through her compassion, humanitarian work and approachable demeanour.
Well, she's special because she brings light to the world about all the sadness that's going on in the world, the landmine and those people with AIDS.
I wish she was alive to do many more for the country, but sadly God decided to take her, so we just had to pray for her,
Her courage and compassion were obvious wherever she went. This was an Indonesian leprosy hospital, where her refusal to worry about close contact with patients was reckoned to have helped change attitudes to the disfiguring disease.
Here we are, 20 years later. We're still talking about her because Diana has become an icon.
The Princess of Wales felt not the slightest apprehension about her visit to the Middlesex Hospital and its AIDS ward, according to press reports. All the speculation had centred on whether she would wear gloves when shaking hands with the staff and patients on the new ward.
We're talking about her because she changed the rule book. She tore out pages from that dusty old book and she rewrote those rules. She changed the royal family forever. The ghost of Diana will always haunt the House of Windsor. She changed the rules for the women she'd never meet. She changed the rules for Catherine so that she would have a better life, a better passage. And whoever Harry marries, she changed the rules for her too.
She really is beautiful, isn't it?
So in a way, she's changing the rules for her children. Her children, William and Harry, are her legacy to the world. They will finish their mother's work. 36 years old, you don't expect your mother to die. Her untimely death catapulted those boys into the forefront of the royal family. They are the royal family's future.
Today, Prince William and Prince Harry honour their mother, Princess Diana, by continuing her humanitarian work and dedication to charitable causes. Both of Diana's children have championed mental health campaigns, advocated for social justice, and focused on key charity work concerning AIDS and homelessness.
When my mother held the hand of a man dying of AIDS in an East London hospital, no one would have imagined that just over a quarter of a century later, treatment would exist that could see HIV-positive people live full, healthy, loving lives.
One day we will see King William and Queen Catherine on the throne of England. And strangely enough, when William and Harry came to see me at Kensington Palace shortly after their mother died. I said to them, you must take something. Take something which belonged to her that you can keep safe. What do you want, William? I said. I'd like Mummy's Cartier watch, the one that Grandpa Spencer gave to her for her 21st birthday. Okay, I went to the safe and I got the watch. And what about you, Harry? What would you like? I remember, he said, when I held Mummy's hand when I was a small boy, that ring always hurt me because it's so big. Do you mean her engagement ring? Yes. So I went to the safe and gave Harry Diana's engagement ring. William told Harry that he was going to become engaged to Catherine. Harry said to him, wouldn't it be fitting if she had Mummy's ring? And then one day, that ring will be sat on the throne of England. So Harry gave up his precious treasure, his one thing he kept from his mother, he gave to his brother. That's selfless, kind, and exactly who Diana was.
One of the things our mother taught William and I was the value of doing good when no one is watching. She visited hospitals late at night to comfort patients. She spent hours writing letters to privately support the work of others. She achieved a lot by shining a spotlight, but she worked just as hard when the cameras were gone.
William and Harry remain dedicated to protecting Diana's memory. In recent years, they have openly condemned the media practices that contributed to her untimely death and challenged the erosion of boundaries between public and private life.
I would like to thank Lord Dyson and his team for the report. It is welcome that the BBC accepts Lord Dyson's findings in full, which are extremely concerning. That BBC employees lied and used fake documents to obtain the interview with my mother, made lurid and false claims about the royal family, which played on her fears and fueled paranoia, displayed woeful incompetence when investigating complaints and concerns about the programme, and were evasive in their reporting to the media and covered up what they knew from their internal investigation. It is my view that the deceitful way the interview was obtained substantially influenced what my mother said. The interview was a major contribution to making my parents' relationship worse and has since hurt countless others. It brings indescribable sadness to know that the BBC's failures contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia, and isolation that I remember from those final years with her.
Through these actions, the two brothers have managed to gain some form of justice for the tragedy which occurred in 1997. The death of Diana marked a significant moment in history. It was more than the passing of a beloved public figure. It symbolized a shift in how the world viewed royalty and celebrity.
I've been allowed to share your thoughts and dreams, your disappointments and your happiness. My debt of gratitude to you all is immense.
Diana's legacy as the People's Princess will no doubt live on, forever.